Hi, welcome to Passion for Life and Dee and Friends, and I'm Dee, and I'm here with my friends, and we're about to share some knowledge. I'm all about sharing the knowledge because I have the passion to, I know knowledge is power, and power, I would like to share my power. So it's like I need to help people just get back to basics so that they can have the best life as possible. I know I got to get back to basics too. So today I have my friends with me. I have my friend Diane that's been hanging out with me for quite a while, and I'm like, "Hi Diane, how
Hi,
you doing?"
Dee. I'm doing great.
Very good, very good. What's your passion? We know your passion, but
Yes.
we're going to share your passion.
My passion is acting. I'm an actor. I love photography. And I also like to be kind to people. I love humanity. I like to give and to be kind. And that's what I'm all about. I'm an animal lover, too. I love animals.
I know I love people and I love life, and it's just making things are just getting better and better and better. And I have another friend that's been, she's this her second time, and I know it's not going to be her last. I'm so happy. Hi, how you doing?
Hi. How you doing?
I'm very good.
Thank you so much for having me back on.
Yes,
It's a pleasure.
Well, I knew. I was like, she's gonna become a regular, also, because she has so much knowledge.
Your show is wonderful.
And I appreciate it. And you're wonderful.
Thank
you
you.
know, so it's like, hey, I appreciate you so much. And we have to do the mutual admiration thing, you know. So, Miss Swami.
Yes.
Or Dr. Swami. I don't know what I want to call you. I was like,
Swami's
hello,
fine.
because you got skills.
Swami's fine.
She's so humble. She is so humble, you know.
Swami's fine.
But so much knowledge. And what is your passion?
I have a couple of passions. First is really kind of getting people to own their health. That's the most important piece. Before you start taking care of it, you have to own it. And then once you do that, then that affirmation will lead you into being responsible for it and doing the best you can. And no one can have a perfect day and a perfect diet, but just being cognizant of the fact that it is yours, and it's up to you to take care of it for yourself, for your family, and really on a grand scale for humanity. You know, so that if you are a productive person, you should know that taking care of your health allows you to continue your productivity, and it helps you to continue to impact people. So that's the first passion, and I think the second passion would be justice, social justice, health justice. You know, just making sure that there is an equal playing field on issues of health, on issues of development. It is very important to me for people to start out on an even playing field. And then whatever your choices are afterwards, whether you decide to enhance your life or allow it to deteriorate, those are options and decisions that you can make yourself, but to have outside influences already start you off at a disadvantage, I don't think is fair. And that becomes a very big issue. So those are my two, on a macro level, those are my two passions.
I know there's a whole lot more going on,
Right.
too. Oh, my. You know, because I know when I first met you, it was just that I knew you were there for us. And that's what the universe, God, whoever you believe, it was just like you had to be there for the community, for the people. And I guess that's where that justice comes in.
That's correct.
And it's just because people are hurting themselves. And they don't even know it.
Correct.
And that's why we're going to share some of the knowledge you have and help people just, you know, see what we can do to make things better.
Correct.
Because, my gosh, you know, I didn't know. And it took me forever to really realize what was going on that caused me to be where the state of being. Because it's not just your body, your nutrition that you put in. It's all about your mind, your body, your environment, your spirituality, your relationships with yourself
That's
and with
correct.
others.
Correct.
So there's so much
Right.
that
Balance.
you know,
All
yeah,
balance.
you
It's
have
balancing.
to do. Well, yeah, the
Yeah.
balance is important, and you got to start with the whole, not just part of it, because you can't.
It's interesting that you say that, and I wanted to kind of segue into what you said. It's and you also, and you spoke of balance, and balance is important. But one of the things I think, especially when we start dealing with energies, when we start dealing with relationships, whether it be with ourselves or with others, before there can be balance, there has to be truth, and you have to be truthful to yourself about what you expect, what you want out of the relationship, and most importantly, whether that relationship is a detriment or a productive force in your life.
Yeah.
And it is that truth that allows you to stay, work on it, get out of it, decide that you want to ease out of it, however it goes. But the decision making and the process of recognizing a relationship and being able to assess it properly usually comes from a very truthful place. And I remember you and I were talking about mental wellness, and barring a lot of what we call biochemical imbalances and sometimes genetic forces that may lead to biochemical imbalances. There are sometimes very traumatic experiences that people are walking around with that they're not being truthful about.
This is true.
In terms of it happening, the actual occurrence of the situation or situations, and the impact that it has had on them, and most importantly, what the expectation was of the people around them. And that's key, because we are dealing with a generation now that, for lack of a better understanding of the situation, is really driven by an addiction that we haven't seen since the 60s. And the first thing one should try to figure out is, why does one need to get so high in the first place? You know, what is one escaping? There's a certain amount of escapism.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and
I believe it's also unrealistic. You know, they're living this unrealistic dream,
right?
This aspiration of oh well, this one has this, so they're looking to get what someone else, rather than just being happy with or doing what they need to do for themselves, living for somebody else rather than living for themselves.
I agree with that, and I also would like to add that there is a rose-colored world.
Yeah, definitely.
A rose-colored lens that our young people, that we have allowed our young people to kind of wear and to permanently have on. And it is a sense of seeking a perfect life and not understanding that that doesn't necessarily exist, especially if your template is television. And if your template is social media.
Yeah.
And the perfect life is really an average life that you are happy with.
Right.
And when I say average, I don't necessarily mean in terms of goals and in terms of achievement, but, you know, the keeping up with this group and the keeping up with that family and a selfie here and the narcissism and the just really the lack of grounding is, and the inability to keep that constant, I think is proving to be a major conundrum for our young people. And I think on top of that, a sense of purposelessness. What am I doing? What's my purpose?
Right.
And that tends to take place in a world or in an environment where you're given everything.
Right. Yeah.
There's nothing to work for.
Right.
You just ask mom or dad or mom for an iPad and she makes it happen. You know, and there's not, I remember growing up and there was always a limit. You know, you could always ask for anything you wanted, but there was always a budgetary limit, and even after things got better with the family financially, because I don't care what family that you've come from, very few families have started out and have ended the same way. Usually it starts out a little lean, and then it gets, you know, a little bit better along the way, especially for middle class to upper middle class families. But there's not a sense of, you know, working towards, there's not a sense of working towards something, because it's almost like we're already there, and the status of a good parent is one where their children have everything. And that's not what it was when we were growing up.
No, you're right about that. And, you know, like you were saying, in terms of the depression and the mentality and what have you, a lot of people don't realize that they're even in that realm of things.
Right.
But then they're wanting other people's lives, and opposed to just ownership of their own life.
Correct.
And I do understand exactly what you're saying, because it's just the responsibility. When we were young, my parents was like, "You get on that bus."
Right.
You know, here's the transportation. They weren't taking me everywhere.
Right.
It wasn't about and my parents were middle class.
Right.
But it was, if you want to do something, then you have to do certain things to be able to get that.
Correct.
I'm just not going to give you a car.
That's correct.
Okay. So when I graduated from college, they gave me a portion to go for my car.
Right.
Okay. My father, I think he gave me $2,000.
Right.
And a car was only about $6,000.
That's fine.
Grandma loaned me. Okay.
Right.
She had a bank account and she took $2,000 and loaned me that $2,000. I had to pay her back.
That's fine.
And then I had another account that my grandmother had for me, which I paid for my car.
Good.
So I got a little portion.
I bet you didn't slam up the car and run it
I
over
had that car
potholes.
for 10 years.
Right, because you had to pay for the car.
I had to pay for that car.
Yeah, as opposed to kids getting a brand new car and then it's smashed up in 2 weeks.
No. I had to pay. That was my car that I paid for. Okay, my father helped me. Everybody helped me.
Of course.
But
that's what your family is for.
That's what. But it wasn't about just, here you go.
Right.
Go for it. You got a brand new Lexus. And it was a Datsun. They don't even know about Datsuns anymore.
They know about Datsun. I know about the Datsun with the little hatchback.
I
guess I'll date myself too.
Not even had a hatchback. I called it my BMW.
That's it, because it was yours. It kept you from being wet when it was raining.
Didn't have power steering, nothing.
Oh, wow. So you had muscles.
But the thing was, they instilled responsibility.
That's right.
And, I wasn't perfect. I did have some challenges in terms of depression. I think we all have that.
Yes.
You know, but it was, and we probably did some experimentations with certain drugs and things like that. But you kind of had that base foundation.
Right.
And you know what was right and wrong, and you did not stray but so far.
Right.
You know, nowadays, I don't know whether all these children have that.
Yeah.
There's no limit.
No.
And I wanted to say that when I was younger, even in high school, I didn't even know the word stress. You know, stress, I was happy, I was active, I was an athlete.
Right.
And I was going to school for physical therapy back in high school.
Okay.
And when I had to go to see the stroke patients and go through that program, I didn't finish that part because I couldn't deal with like the depressing part.
Right.
Because I've never, like, I was always happy. And I feel like a lot of kids today, I hear them in elementary school, I'm so stressed out. I mean, did you say you were stressed out in high school? And I mean, I didn't, that word that word wasn't in my life.
I had, my parents broke up
Yeah.
when I was 12.
Right.
So there was stuff going on.
Right. Emotional stuff.
Yeah, there was emotional things. I had all kinds of physical things because of what I was putting in my body. And I
Right.
didn't know back then that this was affecting, your body, your environment does affect everything.
Right.
If you're eating certain ways and you're doing certain things, it causes certain things to your mind.
Right.
So I was not a happy person.
Right.
I was insecure. There was a lot of things going on because of my family. But you dealt with it.
And
I had
persevered.
the spirituality of my grandparents
Right.
that helped me get through it. So that was, and I did have the strong foundation.
Right.
So even though I didn't stray but so far,
Right.
and I knew how to discuss it and get it to that you can talk to people. And if I didn't talk to people, eventually I would get it out somehow. I enjoyed life. I liked to dance, what have you.
Right.
But I did things that didn't hurt anybody or
Right.
hurt myself because I knew I did have that spirituality, and I do
Right.
have that spirituality. So that strong foundation
Right.
that was instilled in me.
Right.
But, and I did a little experimentation. But nowadays, the drugs that are out there are hurting people so badly, and the minds are going really crazy. So,
Well, I think one of the things that what has happened now is that this concept of what marijuana is, it being this this optimal drug, if you will, almost being marketed without side effects, is erroneous. Marijuana, cannabis, is an opiate. When you smoke it, it brings tar into the system. Okay, it is just like smoking cigarettes. So when you smoke the marijuana, you are affecting your lungs just as someone who smokes a pack of cigarettes. I won't say a name, but a pack of cigarettes. And so in that, it is not much different. The other thing that people do not realize about marijuana, because it's got such this mystique and this folklore attached to it, is that it is an opiate that when burned also, when you overdose on it, because you can overdose, it can create situations where you get paranoid schizophrenia, full-blown schizophrenia, nervous disorders. It can be linked to stroke. What I will say is when you have, I am very leery of governmental control of this drug.
well, you know what? Let's talk about that when we take a break, and we'll be right back.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, cool. Okay, we'll be right back.
Welcome to Formula Auto Wash, where every day is a great day for a car wash. Open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Sundays 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. Detailing packages for every budget, starting out at $29.99. 100% hand wash and detail centre. Hogshair and microfiber brushes and mitts. Proudly used in Ecolab Blue Coral soaps and waxes. Formula Auto Wash has served the community for over 30 years. Senior discounts all day, every day. Ladies' Day Wednesday, $3 off any wash. Early bird discount Monday through Thursday till 9:30 a.m. Check out our website, formulaautowash.com.
For professional motorcycle transport and towing, think Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing. Proudly serving all of Long Island, we feature expert handling and 24/7 service. So send a limo for your toy with Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing.
Galaxy Luxury Coach is a full-service limousine and party bus company. Family-owned and operated, we are an industry leader with over 25 years of experience in providing best-in-class luxury transportation for your special event. Whether it's your precious wedding day, an all-day wine tour out east, your high school prom, that special birthday, or just an amazing night on the town, our professional chauffeurs stand ready to ensure your special event is truly special. Galaxy Luxury Coach has one of the largest and modern party bus fleets in the New York area. Our party buses are simply nightclubs on wheels. Concert sound systems, light shows, lasers and strobes, multicolor LED lighting brilliantly lights your party bus inside and out. For corporate and more laid-back events, we will cater to your specific needs and requests. What sets Galaxy aside from all others in the luxury transportation industry is our attention to detail in customizing our services to your special event. At Galaxy, it's all about you and your guests. Galaxy customers return time and time again because they know they can trust Galaxy to help deliver those lifetime memorable moments. Step aboard and let your Galaxy experience begin.
Hi, welcome back to Passion for Life with Dee and Friends. And my gosh, this lady is just full of so much knowledge, and I just love her.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. So we were talking about the marijuana.
Yes.
And how it could be kind of dangerous.
Right.
Or
And it's like any other herb if not used properly. The best way to use marijuana is to use it as a tea, as well as to use the oil. Now, it is the oil that is linked to cancer reversals, definitely dealing with inflammation, helping with dementia, and helping with overall inflammation in the body. So that's a good thing. The tea also, excellent for calming the nerves, sleeplessness, also extremely good as an anti-cancer agent, especially when used with graviola. It is definitely
and a soursop, right?
That's correct,
Yeah.
for those in the from the Caribbean or the African nations. It would be soursop or guanabana.
And now, but how about the cannabis, what we were talking about? Is that part of it with the oil? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Right, so
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the CBD, so that's the
CBD,
cannabis
okay.
oil. So boiling the cannabis also gives a really good result. And it usually, and that's depending on the grade. Now be clear that there are hundreds, even though it falls under cannabis, there are hundreds of grades of marijuana out there. And then we're not even talking about the hemp
right.
at this point. But one of the things that people need to realize is that it is not a legal drug. And because it is not legal, there are a lot of complications that you're going to get with getting marijuana that is number one, fit, number two, clean, and number three, of great quality. So because you don't have a farmer that has allocated actual land, is able to tend to his or her crop, is able to maintain, change over the soil and leave one part of the soil, not used for a period of time so as to
so you
replenish.
get the nutrients.
Those things are not, you're
Right.
not able to do those things
Right,
because
right.
it's not legal.
Right.
Governmental control, as I said, is not necessarily something that I would say, okay, yeah, that's why we need government control. Because I think, especially with where the FDA is now, I think we all know that government control does not really add up to much other than corporate privatization. So that's another issue. And that's what has taken place with marijuana. Walgreens has taken over most of the contracts for
Really?
New York State.
Really?
Oh, yes.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I find that, a lot of the drugs, and I don't know I know certain types of marijuana
Yes.
have caused depression or caused
Yes.
hallucinations and caused all kinds of paranoia, or I know.
You're right to the extent that it is the smoking of the marijuana that
Yeah,
has done
okay,
that.
Yeah.
However, what people don't realize is when you buy a quote-unquote dime bag, or you have a dealer and you go to him or her, you don't know how that marijuana is
Right,
grown.
right.
You don't know if that marijuana is grown in a basement somewhere or on a roof where there's mold, there's, bird poop flying all over. They're not washing this stuff.
Right, right.
Once it dries out, they chop it up and they put it in. That would be the best case scenario. The norm is they're getting this stuff out of Mexico. They're spraying it. You have a number of pesticides.
Yeah. That's scary.
And insecticides that, be clear, when you have these insecticides and you have these pesticides, on the container it says hazardous material, flammable, okay?
Why would
Which
you-
means
yeah.
that you cannot put flame to it. So the mere fact that this is now on your marijuana and you are setting fire to it, be clear you are burning up your nervous cells.
Right.
Be clear on that.
Yeah.
You're not getting around that at all. The other piece is they have a coating, a pesticide, diazidin. That is one of the most hardcore pesticides that you have. And that is so linked to cancer and birth defects.
Alzheimer's and all that stuff.
Big time. So that's in your marijuana. There is a 65% chance that that's what's in it. The other thing that people don't consider is that if your marijuana is coming from Mexico, they're not just driving a truck over and dropping it off for shipment. So they've got a spray, and marijuana has a scent. Be clear on that. The scent is not as pungent or heavy as some of these marijuanas that they're burning, but it does have a pungent scent. So they have to spray stuff on it so
they
as to
can-
mask
yeah.
the scent.
Right.
Be clear, you're burning that too. So when you're rolling, you're doing your roll. You're rolling. For all those people who think that they're doing the natural herbs, you're doing natural herbs, yes, and then maybe 35 to 40% of the contents of that is chemicals. And these are chemicals that, for the most part, are banned in Europe. So if you have an entire continent banning this stuff, and they
That's a
can
challenge,
easily
yeah.
make money just like the U.S. can, that should tell you that something's really amiss with this. And then
That's what the foods and everything.
That's correct.
That because right now we're eating so many things that have these pesticides,
Right.
preservatives, the GMOs and what have you, which the European countries have banned them, and
Correct.
they say no, no, no.
Right.
But yet we're still saying yes, yes, yes. And
Right.
then our people are like, okay, well, if the government sanctions it,
Right.
it's okay.
Right.
So then why are we all having depression? Why are we have our children having ADHD and
ADD and ADHD, yes.
Yeah, because I actually have a young lady that my mother took care of. She foster child. She has her own kids now. Her son has autism,
Right.
and she said he was hitting all his marks until she gave him the vaccine.
That's correct.
And all of a sudden, it was like he is not able to concentrate. He's
Right.
all over the place.
Right.
You know, he's functional, but it's
Not the same,
it's
obviously.
not the same.
Correct.
And you look at a lot of our children and our depression and, you know, schizophrenia and induced with drugs and
Right.
stuff like that. I know my mom, I have family members with bipolar,
Right.
and then they think that it's going to get better by using the pot or the
Right.
oils or what have you, and it's not, or drinking alcohol or
Right.
it just enhances it.
Right. Well, I think one of the reasons why there is a definite hit or miss when it comes to mental wellness is because there is a societal shift when it comes to dealing with it in a preventative way. When we see someone who needs help as a society, we don't help them.
Right.
But when they do the acting out part, we're swift to institutionalize.
Exactly.
So the penal side of it is very swift and usually very, very final. Whereas the prevention, the engagement, before it becomes an issue, is not so much so. It's very avoidant. One of the key points of mental wellness, and some people like to say mental illness. I like to say mental wellness because it's a continuum. You can be great at work and a basket case at home because home's the issue.
Yeah, that's true.
You can be great at home and terrible at work because work's the issue. And sometimes there are triggers that will point to different vulnerabilities in your emotional health. So if you've got not the best relationship with your mom, and I hate to blame it on mothers, but if you don't have the best relationship with your mom and you've got this real overbearing woman at work telling you what to do, pushing you around, that can put you right back in a place where you were as a kid or a teenager, or even where you are now with your parent.
Yeah.
And it can bring out the worst in you. And it can bring out a part of you that you don't even know why you're reacting this way. And so it is important for us to understand that mental wellness is something that we are all struggling with because it's part of health. We have a mental side and we have our health, and so therefore we all have mental health. And mental health and wellness does not mean that we're not hearing voices. That's not what that means. It doesn't mean that we don't have a diagnosis attached to us. There's a ton of people that don't have diagnoses that are going through so much. So one of the things we have to understand is that mental health is just the same, it's a continuum of your health. It's not separate from, it's something that you need to evaluate on a regular basis. You need to see how's your behavior? How do you feel? How's your sleep? How's your sleep pattern? What's your need for coffee? You know, are you needing coffee more for a certain thing? What's my need for a glass of wine? Must I have a glass of wine at the end of every day? If I smoke, do I smoke generally not in the day and then when I go home? Or do I smoke mostly when I'm at work and then I don't smoke at home? So these are all indicators and cues to let us know where stressors are in our lives and whether or not we're handling them well.
Right.
That's, you know, that's kind of a key point of health
Right.
and wellness. The other thing that we need to understand is that it is okay not to be able to cope.
Right.
It's okay to be overwhelmed. That is okay. It is okay to say, I've had 4 kids, and I really feel like I may have had 1 or 2 too many. Of course, you don't want to say that to the kid,
Right.
because then that becomes a problem. But being able to say that now,
To somebody at least.
good, allows you to now say or see that it's not your life that's the problem. It is a decision, and you may have to do some restructuring in terms of parenting. And most importantly, especially for women, you may have some delegating to do. And get that father in there and let them do their part.
Right.
There is a very big issue that women have in terms of being able to delegate. And that is because we are always the go-to people in the family. And usually, I won't say all the time, but usually there is a personality component that comes with being the leader. And usually the leader, the female leader in the house will do this. And it is one of the most detrimental and harmful reactions to stress. And it is this. Didn't I tell you to do that? You know what? I'm just going to do it myself. If you go through life doing everything yourself, you're going to be dead. You're not going to be able to do it. First of all, you're taking on a role that you probably shouldn't have, and a task that you shouldn't have. And then you're absolving the person who should have done the task of their task. And then if you've got someone abusive who will say, I don't really want to do that, what I'm going to do is,
Just wait.
I'm just going to botch it up, and she's going to come in, and then she's going to do it herself, and I'm just going to walk away and throw up my hands, and then that becomes such a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Then you start to feel used, you start to feel taken advantage of, and that becomes a whole other issue.
And then you get depressed.
Right. That you can't depend on anyone.
Right.
No one can depend, everyone can depend on you. You can't depend on any. So the most important thing is to acknowledge and understand when you cannot cope.
And then you want to take drugs and
Good.
and do everything
Right.
else,
Right. So you've got to be able to say, I can do some of this, I can't do all of this.
Well, I actually am in a group that they try to teach you how to, instead of always being the giver,
Right.
accept. And,
Right.
And be able to get it back.
Right.
Because it's very hard for women, especially,
Yes.
to be on the opposite end of being the receiver.
Because we've been
Yes,
taught that we're
yes.
supposed to be givers, and that a generous person, a good person, doesn't expect anything in return.
Right.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Exactly.
If you pay for merchandise, you're going to go home with an empty bag? No.
And learning in our kindness, it's hard. It used to be hard for me to say no to people because I
Right.
was always saying yes. But I learned that there's only certain things that I could do. And
Right.
if I said no, it was okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well,
It was okay.
I have learned that. It was funny because when I was away a couple of weeks ago, my girlfriend wanted to try on my dress.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
No.
I was like, no. Why would you want to try? Oh, well, I was like, no.
Right.
And I think I must have said it about 4 times when she finally was like, oh, okay. I was like, no. You're not
Right.
trying on
Now,
my
10
dress.
years ago, would you
Yeah.
have said no? Or you
I
learned?
mean,
No.
No, probably.
no, I probably would have still
no.
said.
But you'd have suffered through it a
would've-
little
yeah,
more.
Yeah.
I might have, This time I was just like, no, it's okay. I didn't even think about it
Right.
or what have you. And
Good.
maybe I would have been a little more, explaining. You kind of
Right.
explain, blah, blah, blah.
The
this,
reason
that, and
why
the other.
I
I may
don't-
not want to. This
No.
came, I was like, no,
No.
it's okay. No, you're not, no.
Right.
No. Mm-mm.
And that's not
Good.
a bad thing.
That's a good place.
Yeah.
Assertiveness is a good place.
It's taken a while.
It usually does.
It does take a while. And thing is, with the drugs and what have you, that was so long ago.
Right.
But the thing was, I used to smoke cigarettes. I used
Right.
to do all that kind of stuff. And I know it caused brain challenges and
Right.
what have you. And I know that Diane was saying about her mom with the Alzheimer's.
She has Alzheimer's.
And I know that they do say that the oils have helped with the. So there's so much going on that you can use certain things.
Right, but you have to
But
make
where do
sure.
you buy the oil? Like if somebody has cancer and they want to come and they want to buy them, like you're saying, we didn't talk about, where would they actually get it? Where
They're
would they go to?
different. There are different.
Right? Where would they get them?
There are different companies that actually produce the it's called CBD oil. Because marijuana is illegal, no one's going to say marijuana oil because they can't sell it. But what you are going to find, it's called CBD oil. There are different dosages. You have 100 mg, and you have a 200 mg, and 1,000, all the way. I've seen all the way up until 1,200. Mm-hmm. There are ways you can do it yourself. You have to have really clean marijuana, really clean. You have to know where it comes from. You have to wash it. You've got to scrub it down. You've got to do all that stuff. And then from there, you should be able to do an extraction process by boiling it, and it's called a vapor distillation, where you take out all of the water and it's almost like a reduction. You ever take onions and put water, and then you put it on high
Like freeze
fire?
dry or what
No,
have
you
you.
put it on high fire until the water comes out of it and it turns to a gravy.
Really?
Like that's like onions. You ever do that with onions? No? Oh, okay. Maybe I'm the only one who did it.
Like that. I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm
boil the
saying,
water,
right?
yeah.
Like you'll take some water and some mushrooms and like a little bit of like either coconut oil or olive oil, and then you put it on high fire.
Well, that's why I come over there. To
Oh,
get my
okay, I
food,
forgot.
okay?
You drink the juice, right? You drink the juice. I used to do that with parsley, like drink the juice of the parsley.
Right, the juice of the parsley
Parsley
is
is good,
excellent.
yeah.
But what you would do with the marijuana is you would boil it down until you pretty much almost what cooks call a reduction. And so you would have a very thick residue. Usually that would be the kind of the oil byproduct. And from there you can take that, but you only take a small amount, because at the end of the day, it is very it's strong. And you also, that gives you a high in itself. It really helps to get the nerves in a very sedated state. But the most important thing is that it attacks those cells that are carrying out cancerous activity.
Okay, so remember where we're stopping?
Yes.
Because we're all over the place, but
Right,
it's all kind of connected.
right,
So we're going to take a real quick break, and we'll be right back. Okay?
great.
You smell so good, I won't have to bathe the next 2 weeks. Anything. So, here, laugh a little harder. All right?
I will take Kim, I would be proud to show you off, you little old weirdo man.
Get a new sweater. The worst dressed man here tonight. Right? Look, get that laugh, and get it in there tonight because nobody else is gonna laugh like her. She's under drugs, all right?
Welcome to the Rehab Center located at 2025 Brentwood Road in Brentwood, New York. At the center, we offer chiropractic services, acupuncture, and physical therapy. We take most major medical, no-fault, and workers' comp insurance. If you need these types of services, contact the offices at 631-234-4949. That's 631-234-4949. Welcome to the Rehab Center located at 2025 Brentwood Road in Brentwood, New York. At the center, we offer chiropractic services, acupuncture, and physical therapy. We take most major medical, no-fault, and workers' comp insurance. If you need these types of services, contact the offices at 631-234-4949. That's 631-234-4949.
For professional motorcycle transport and towing, think Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing. Proudly serving all of Long Island, we feature expert handling and 24/7 service. So send a limo for your toy with Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing.
Hi, welcome back to Passion for Life with Dee and Friends. And my gosh, the time is almost over.
No.
And so we were talking really quickly about the cancer. I mean,
Right.
not the cancer, about
The marijuana.
marijuana.
Right.
And how
Right, breaking it down and what that does.
and where
so,
we're getting it from and all that kind of good stuff.
So you're doing kind of, you're reducing it. So you're putting some really good quality marijuana leaves, plants in the water, doing it on a medium to high fire for a very long period of time until you get the water out of it and it's reduced to kind of a little bit of a sludge. And then you're taking just small quantities of that. That's the cheapest way to do that. The CBD oil on the market right now is extremely expensive.
Really?
Extremely expensive. You can spend as much as $800 for 2 ounces of what they call the good quality CBD oil.
Really?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I know that I'm not going to really discuss it, but I did,
Right.
indulge with, because my mom
Right.
had recently had been diagnosed and passed away from the cancer. So I did indulge.
Right.
I wanted to get some of that
Yes.
stuff for her and what have you. And I did get some. I wasn't sure how pure it was because I did see they had cut it with some oils.
Right.
And they cooked it with the oils, and I still had gotten some oils with it. So I was
Right.
like, for that amount,
Right,
I
right.
was like, hello.
Right, it's not pure. Right.
And,
And usually there's no CBD oil out there that's pure unless you're going to do it yourself in that vapor distillation process. But what I am going to say is that before you get really, for those people who have access to good quality marijuana, you know where the soil is from, you know that there's no dander, there's no mold on the leaves, you know that there's no mold in the soil, stuff like that. And it's just a really good, pure quality. You're really looking good. Not something that you're getting from your dealer. That's a totally different animal. Just making the tea and boiling it and drinking that on an everyday basis, that is, that's really kind of what you need, and that's it. Let's not get too complicated with this thing and start to lose track of the fact that it is a product. It is also a product that is in prohibition. And like any product that is in prohibition, there is always going to be an industry that, surrounds itself by it and will then start to charge astronomical prices for the said product. So be mindful of that. But I think to tie in what we were talking about, which is why is there this need? Why is this fascination with marijuana? What's this preoccupation, if you will, of this escapism and the need to be high, the need to mellow out, the need to chill out? and our inability as a society to be able to do that for ourselves through legal extracurricular activity, or what I consider to be non-addictive extracurricular activities. And I really think that we are in a place on a societal level where we're dealing with a lot of
very unhappy people.
Unhappy people, but I think we are dealing with a society that's not dealing with truth.
Reality, yeah.
We're not
yeah.
dealing with truth. We're
Yeah.
not dealing with
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah.
We're not dealing with what something is. We're dealing with a lot of political correctness. We're dealing with a lot of passive aggression in our communication style. You know, one of my clients said, it would really be nice if we could get a morning appointment with you, which is really like a very passive aggressive way of saying, listen, we can't make it all the time in the night. Is there a possibility of a morning appointment or an early afternoon appointment? But this is the type of language we engage in. So it's almost like this, I want to say this thing, but I'm going to frame it. And when I frame it, by the time you finish framing language, if you had just spit out what it is you wanted to say, then you would have caused yourself less grief. And then the person receiving it would not have felt like you're telling them what to do, or that you're trying to take the backtrack. Just listen, Doc, what's the deal with a morning appointment? These evening appointments really are killing me. All right, let me see what I can do. Exactly. And then we just relate. And I think one of the reasons why we're having such issues with depression is because we're not relating. Mm-hmm. We're not relating on a truthful and realistic basis, woman to woman, man to woman, man to man, black to white, black to black, and white to white, mm-hmm. and everyone else in between. We're saying what the textbooks say we're supposed to say, mm-hmm. but we're not saying what's really here.
What's in your heart.
And so therefore that release is not there, right. And there's so much pent-up stuff going on.
Can you, and this is something that I feel like we can do, but I'm going to ask you. Sure. We can reverse these things. We can make things better.
Yes.
Do you feel that?
We can make things better, but what you also have to realize is one of the reasons why we are where we are is because we have trained ourselves into a certain type of communication style. And so what that's going to take is a retraining. And it's going to have to take a certain amount of self-integrity. The ability to just straight shoot. Yeah. The ability to say what's on your mind and to just say, and I'm not talking about hate speech, mm-hmm. and I'm not talking about speech that's derogatory towards others. I'm talking about really getting to the root of what's going on. You know what, Frank? I don't like when I come home and you expect me to get everything done, because then I feel like you don't value my time. Mm-hmm. That is a much more constructive statement than, so you waited for me to come, you couldn't do it yourself? Because that doesn't get at the point. Yeah, because now Frank's looking at you like, oh, so you don't want to do it. And then it becomes this whole imbalance in the marriage, and then now you've got this, this marriage that's seesawed, and now you feel like, wow, I really married the wrong person. Mm-hmm. And I schlepped this thing out, and I'm at year 15 already. Where am I going to go? And it becomes a big deal. Yeah. So I think one of the first things that we need to understand about this whole mental wellness and this lack of mental and emotional balance and well-being that we're experiencing has a lot to do with right here, the boca, the mouth. Yeah. And what is coming out of here is not truthful to the internal mechanisms that it is supposed to support. Right. So if your brain is saying 1, 2. In here is saying 1, 2. But what comes out is 2, 3. Then you've got to disconnect with expression. And then that disconnect with that expression is now causing this conundrum here and this need for escapism.
And that's why at this point we're going to have you back because we only have about 2 minutes left.
Okay.
But I know that in terms of life, we have to be real.
Right.
And that's why I'm trying to have this show here because we have to get back to basics.
That's very true.
And in order to get back to basics, we can reverse a lot of diseases.
Correct.
A lot of things that are going on mentally, physically, and spiritually.
Agreed.
Because we have to just
True.
get real with ourselves, with each other, or else
What's the point?
it don't make no sense.
That's right. And I'd love if on our next show we can talk about the foods we eat, the hormones, the additives,
my gosh, yes.
and its impact on the brain and mental health, mental wellness.
Yes.
And then we go from there, and we can see how the communication or lack of communication plus what we eat is contributing to this imbalance upstairs.
Once a month at least.
I think so.
Okay?
I think I can do that.
Okay, we can do that. All right. So, where can we find you?
I'm at the detox bar in the evenings. So now it's going to be a little bit more tricky, but I'm usually there 234-16 Linden Boulevard, Cambria Heights, New York, 11411, just for those who want a GPS. It's called the Detox Bar. It's 2 X's, DETOXXBAR. I'm there in the evenings from 7 until 10:45, say 7:30. It's best to call. May I give them my number?
Yes.
718-949-0008. And my email is detoxbar1@gmail. So it's DETOXXBAR, the number 1, @gmail.com. And if you have any questions and if I can answer it, I'll do so. And if I can't answer it, I have a ton of colleagues and a ton of friends who are definitely into wellness, and one of us will answer it and try to get to the bottom of what the health issue is.
Yes, and next time I forgot to scan you.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, next time.
I wasn't feeling well today, but you made me feel better.
I know.
So thank you for
Oh,
that.
you're welcome. See, I can do it too.
I know you can. We all can. We're our own natural healers.
That's it. And that's what I'm talking about.
That's it.
And we got to do it with inside.
Correct.
Oh, my God.
And we're all responsible for each other. And once we get that responsibility and we realize that our interactions have impact, I think this place that we call the world is going to be a much better
Definitely
place.
it's going to be better. So I want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're going to be back next week. Actually, I was supposed to go out of town, but I'll be here.
Yeah.
So see you next week on Passion for Life with Dee and Friends, and we're sharing our passions, and hopefully you'll share your passions with us. Take care. Have a good one.
See you in good health.
Okay.